I always thought it would be cool if you could go back and listen to the day-to-day of today's highest achievers as it happened, as opposed to 30 years later after they've made it. I believe there's a giant disconnect between ground zero and the top floor because we only see the top floor and the top floor only talks about the top. You know, how valuable would that be? And so it goes without saying, but I believe I'll make it there. And this is the documented journey through each level. My name is Bryson Sessions, and you are listening to the Bed Podcast.
Well. So this is the first show in a few days back in Utah. So there's a lot to cover, but I'm going to do my best to keep it short and sweet. So the reason why the last few episodes have been extremely short is because I'm insecure about recording in front of somebody. And that's something that I'm working on. It's tough for me to get over the fact that, it's so funny because I'm talking right now by myself, but I'm putting this out there for thousands of people to hear. So I don't know how that's different, but I think it's just the act of doing it in front of somebody. And I posted a show about this a while ago, but I was talking about how it's not the fear of public speaking necessarily that is scary. It's the fear of not knowing exactly what to say in front of somebody, or not knowing the subject I'm talking about well enough to talk about it confidently, you know? So I think that's what it was, but anyway, let's see, how long were the last few shows? I can't remember. So we got yesterday's, that was 2 minutes. The day before that was 3 minutes. The day before that was 2 minutes. So yeah, the reason why they were so short is because, I had to record in front of somebody. And I, again, very insecure about that. But I did do it, and it was cool. And I felt good. So I've just got to keep on working on getting better at that. But another reason was because it was very late when I recorded these shows relative to what time I had to be up the next day. And I was extremely tired from the day events and everything that was required. So it was my buddy's wedding. Went out there, drove out to Colorado from Salt Lake area, right? Just for whoever's listening in the future. And it's about an 8.5 hour drive of just drive time. So with stops and gas, bathroom breaks, it's about 10 hours, which not a bad deal. So Thursday, drove out there. Thursday we did this bachelor party group conjoined party thing. Was pretty cool. And then the next day we had a rehearsal dinner with DJ. That's my buddy who got married. Had the whole shebang. I had rehearsal, lunch, or I guess brunch, dinner, whatever you want to call it. And then went mini golfing, all that stuff. And then we had the wedding the next day. But it was a longer day for me because I had to go and do photos. With DJ, we had to get all the groomsmen together, and we pretty much just hung out the first morning, tried to keep DJ's nerves under control, and had a good time, just talked, just kind of bullshitted around, met some incredible guys, and we just exchanged social media. So if anybody who's new is now listening to this show, that's pretty cool. So what's up, guys? I got a podcast, didn't mention that. But anyway, it was cool. I met a really great group of guys, and I even told everybody, I was like, hey man, this is a good group of guys. I think we have a lot going on here as far as the mental game, because we actually got started talking about 75 Hard and the LiveHard program, and I'm not going to take credit for anything, but there was another guy there. I guess we'll keep the names quiet for now, but he was like, man, I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to start next week kind of thing. So it was really cool. If I had any part in doing that, that's cool. But it's awesome, man. So I'm going to touch on a few things about that. And then, we had the wedding, saw my buddy off with his lady, and then we went back to the hotel right after, started packing. This is Lexi and I. We started packing, and then we drove home today. So I got home a couple hours ago. And what a hell of a day, man. I'm just so tired, and nothing new here. It's time for me to go to bed, but still got to do this. I still would like to do a couple more things here, like unpacking and kind of getting organized for the week, because this is the first week since LiveHard where I don't have plans, I don't have anything. So it's just going to be me, my laptop, my room, my office, and just grinding out some stuff. So pretty hyped about that. That's an understatement, actually. I'm stoked about that. So anyway, I want to try to touch on some key things that I want to document, because these are the types of things that the show aims to document and to capture for the long term. So I'm not complaining by any means. If anybody that I now know is listening, not complaining. nor am I jealous. Well, maybe a little bit. But so seems like a lot of the people that DJ had at his wedding, he met through college, which was his medical schooling. What I don't know the official. I don't know. I don't even know shit about exactly how everything went down. But a lot of the people that were there were doctors. They were, and I don't want to mislabel anybody, but we'll just leave it at that. A lot of people with lots of schooling under their belt, lots of, high degrees, whatever. And I would imagine, based on what I know about my friends' wages, that everyone else is making similar. So to think that I, working 3 jobs, making about $75,000 a year, am making a third of what these people make, it's kind of intimidating. It's also kind of motivating. And then there is that level of discouragement that comes up with that. And again, I share all this because I think it's important as far as the show goes to document these things, which is why I have the show. I'm documenting every thought, every decision, every idea that comes with this. Because in the future, I'm going to have shit going and I'm going to have, money coming. It's going to be different than now. But I want to capture how I feel now, not having that money, or I guess having some kind of money relative to my needs, but not having the time for other things. And I guess the other things for me aren't other things for other people. I'm trying, I don't want to forget, but there's so much to talk about. So this might have to be a 2-parter. I don't know. So I was just talking to a whole bunch of wedding goers, and they're like, hey, how's it going? My name's so-and-so. How do you know the bride and groom? I'm like, oh, I went to high school, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, so what do you do? And I'm like, oh, well, I work at Hill Air Force Base. I do this. I work on this on the weekends. I'm a FedEx driver. And then every other Sunday, or I guess every Sunday now, I go down and I clean FedEx trucks at a different station. And the response is very similar. It's like, oh, wow, man, you're a hustler, huh? You're just grinding away. You work hard kind of thing. And I appreciate that. And it's very nice for people to say. But I don't feel that way in my heart. I feel like I'm kind of just spinning my wheels at the moment. Like, yeah, I'm working hard. Like, yes, I'm rowing the boat, but I'm rowing the wrong boat, And, you can make parallels out of this in so many different ways. But, like, yes, I'm rowing the wrong boat, or I'm rowing in the wrong direction, or I'm rowing in the direction of another boat that I'm going to then transfer from this one to the next. So there's so many different ways you can look at it. But the moral of the story of what I'm trying to say is, it was nice to hear the some kind of acknowledgement, from a stranger of like, oh, I work hard, because that feels nice to have somebody be like, oh, you're badass, you're working hard, But if I'm not making the impact that I want to make, if I'm not chasing the mission that I'm trying to, if I'm not accomplishing the mission that I'm trying to accomplish, if I'm making the money I want to make, if I'm not doing the things that I want to do, then it's not really much of a compliment in my ears. It's more like, it's kind of like I said, I eat red apples, and the other one's like, oh man, you red apples, huh? Red. You like red, it's like, yeah, they're red kind of thing. And that might seem like a bad analogy. It's because it is, but that's really how I feel. So that was kind of like motivating for me, because it's like, hey, I got to get my shit going, right? And especially this last week, I didn't work on much of anything. And part of me is like, it was a much needed break. Then another part of me is like, what do you need a break from? And then the other part of me is like, okay, that was probably great that you did that, because you've taken such a step back from work, you're kind of refreshed. Now you're kind of like, what's the word? I don't know. Like what am I trying to say? I don't know. Just the motivation is sparked up again, but I don't know how motivation comes and goes. I'm not really keen on that. It comes and goes. I've worked the last year doing LiveHard to cultivate the discipline that a person who has huge goals needs to in order to achieve those goals. So, yeah, I wanted to share that. I was talking to a bunch of people who were much more educated, further along in their path, and younger than me, that were doing quote unquote better in life than I am. So it's kind of a back and forth thing. But I know that within 10 years, I'll look back at this episode and be like, yeah, I knew it. You got to be patient, man. Just keep going. Just follow the course. And this might be a valuable episode in the future, and I might even deem it that. This one might get a diamond, because I think it's so important. It's so valuable to look back on in the future of the mentality that I had with these types of interactions. So it's cool, man. It was a good feeling to to be able to share the things I'm doing and kind of do so confidently, you know, instead of being like, oh, I'm working at Smith's, I'm a grocer, I'm a bagger, you know. So now I'm like, yeah, I'm working Hill Air Force Base, working FedEx, cleaning, and then cleaning trucks. And I don't do it because I have to. I do it because I want to. And I guess a part of the whole equation here is I have to, kind of. I don't have to necessarily, but to pay some bills, I guess I would. I don't know. I mean, all I have to do is sell 2 clients a month and I can quit FedEx entirely. So that's a whole other thing. I'll talk about that later. But what else was I going to talk about? So here's another thing, man. And I'm not talking shit on anybody. I just have very different interests and the ability to pay attention to certain things that I really just do not give a fuck about, you know? And here's this might sound rude, but for example, the Olympics were on this weekend. They were on the TVs, and everybody and their mom was glued to the TV, just watching the Olympics, watching the games, watching the competitions. And I just couldn't give less of a fuck, man. I don't care about any of that whatsoever. Maybe I should. Maybe it's ignorant of me. You know, we got countries competing for gold medals, including, you know, home turf, you know, United States of America. You know, but I'm sitting there like, dude, everyone's so glued to this shit. Why? Like, what? Why? You know? Is it entertaining? Is it because everybody else is? I don't know. So everyone was into that. And I'm not a drinker. I've never been a partier. I took my first sip of alcohol about 3 years ago. Let's see, 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. And since then, I've probably consumed alcohol 15 times in the last 4 years, whatever. 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so I guess a total of 4 years. So if you divide 15 by 4, it's about 4 times a year. But, you know, about 8 of those times consuming alcohol were the first year within the first couple months. That's because I wasn't in a good headspace. But anyway, I say that because I'm not a drinker. I'm not a partier. I don't like going out like that. I don't like being surrounded by people who like to do that necessarily. And I'm not saying those types of people are bad or a bad influence. It's just not my cup of tea. Like how somebody who is super into video games probably wouldn't want to hang out with someone who's super into, I don't know, photography or reading business books. You know, it's two people who don't have the same interests probably don't mesh well with their likes, which is fine, but it's not something that I like doing. So like the whole alcohol thing, going out partying, being in those kind of environments, I don't like doing that. And that's pretty much what the whole wedding event was like for me. So I was the best man. I was a groomsman. So I was out doing things for the bachelor party, going to bars, going to different places, eating a lot of really delicious food, but not the greatest for me food, right? So it was a whole lot of that. And then everyone was watching the Olympics and stuff like that, man. I have no interest in any of that. So it's hard for me to, I guess, be in the moment, kind of. So I can't remember where I was going with all of this. Actually, I had to put a small pause in here because I needed to run to the bathroom because I was eating a whole bunch of shit today. And pretty much all of last week, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So, so I guess where I was going with that was being, you know, surrounded by all that. It's crazy to me that people do that every weekend. It's crazy. For me, it's unbelievable in a negative connotation that people do that every weekend. They go out, they get shit-faced, or they just drink alcohol, and they go to clubs and bars and pubs, and that's fine if that's what other people are into. I'm not here to judge. However, it's not what I'm into, and you know, I don't know how to talk about shit like this without sounding like an arrogant asshole, but they're choosing to live their life that way. And for my goals and where I'm trying to go in life, that has no place in what I'm trying to do. I don't necessarily find joy in it. I always feel sick and gross afterward. You know, for me, it was more like I'm out here with all these average fucks doing nothing. And I don't mean any of the groomsmen or the guy that got married, DJ. I'm not talking about that. Being in a whole bar surrounded by all these people who are doing this, man. And this might come off so judgy and cocky or whatever, but it's just not my cup of tea. You know, so But it's like, man, people do this every weekend. This is their life. That's crazy, man. It's almost like, again, I haven't really done much, man, but it's kind of sad to think that people have settled for so little that's what they do for enjoyment, period. That's as fun as it gets for people, you know? And I'm not saying it's not fun, dude. I've had my fair share of times where I'm drunk off my ass, bullshitting with some guys, dude. It's fun. I'm not saying it's not. But if that's peak behavior and peak performance in your life, and that's the most you'll ever do, I don't know, man. It's just not for me. So anyway, the whole weekend, plus the Olympics being on, everyone being so, glued to that. And, another thing is this is really, this is a tough one to talk about, especially since I got a girlfriend, right? So the whole wedding thing, dude, I want to elope and go somewhere. So not have to deal with any of this shit, Like, would I invite my mom to my wedding? Yeah. And that would be like, I always joke, like, eloping to Italy, right? Because there's no wedding invites. There's no dance. I don't got to worry about a dinner. I don't got to worry about a party. So it's like, dude, all these people are fussing about this and that and whatever. It's like, bro, no disrespect to anybody. I just like different things. And it just turns out that the things that I like are not very popular, and they're not very, I wouldn't say they're controversial, but they're controversial, I'm arguably on the fence about marriage, period, Like, why do you need the government to get involved to have a successful relationship between you and your partner? Like, why? Because society says you have to? Because that's how it always has been? Well, why has it always been that way? So that's a whole other thing. But it was just a weekend full of things that I saw differently. And that's a really great way to summarize it. Not good, not bad. Just I see things differently, Not to mention, this is another thing, and it sounds so fucking stupid, man, but I'm just documenting everything because I want someone out there to be able to relate to what I'm feeling for when they're going through something like I'm going through, which is building everything that I got now from the ground up. But I like good music, and you don't hear good music at weddings. And so while everybody's losing their shit at music and whatever, I'm sitting back there and I'm like, bro, so when does it get good? And this sounds so disrespectful. It was a great time, and I cried for my buddy because I was so happy for him, and I love the man, and that should be all that matters, right? I went there to support him and be there for him for no other reason, and I did. So mission was successful. However, I'm allowed to say that a lot of the stuff that happened, I am not a fan of. So. Before this gets misconstrued as me shitting on my best friend here, love you, DJ. Before everything gets kind of shit on in that regard, I'm going to go ahead and stop talking because everything was great. I had a great time, and it was awesome to see my best friend on his big day. So we'll leave everything at that, but I just wanted to document the whole feeling of everything to do with that. So just surrounded by a lot of activities and things that I don't want to ever be surrounded with. So what was the other thing that I was going to talk about? I don't know, but we've got this next week coming up. Today is Sunday, August 4th, 9:16 p.m., 2024. And we've got this next week coming up. I've got no plans, and I plan to keep it that way so that I guess I do have plans then, huh? So that I can keep it this way so that when I'll come home from work, I go to work, go to the gym, come home from the gym, and then from there, I have my whole night to work. And that sounds, I'm so excited at the thought alone. So got to get some shit done and get some things going. So I'm very excited about that because the ice bath is no longer, right? So I still have it, looking to sell it. But let me talk about that actually real quick. So I had a streak of 250 days straight of hopping in an ice bath for no less than 5 minutes and for no greater temperature than 39 degrees. And I originally started that for the discipline and the mental toughness associated with doing the hard thing. And I succeeded at that. And I've gone back and forth. I mean, you can listen to 3 or 4 episodes ago. I talk about it a little bit more in depth. I'm just going to talk about the streak in kind of a summary here in this one. But it was more ego and pride and proving to others and trying to be like the coolest, the strongest, the toughest guy that I could be at the detriment of my own, well-being and I guess, mental well-being. Because ice bath has a lot of benefits, but it only became a nuisance for me. It was only inconvenient. It was never anything other than that, because there's certain times I can take it, other times that I can't. And I mean, I can take it whenever, but then it would hit my other goals. And it was only causing me mental bandwidth. It was only shortening crowding up my mental bandwidth. And I would like as much of that as I can, if I can be as focused as possible, as much as possible, and working as hard as I can without any distractions, that's what I want. But the best way I can explain it is, let's say, and this actually happened this weekend, so it's a great analogy, but everybody knows that when you're driving your car and your gas light comes on, it's like, oh man, I got 50 miles left. I'll be all right. I'm just going home. I'll get gas next time, because it's a mile away. Getting gas would be out of the way, so why would you do it, right? You go home, the next day you wake up and you're like, I got to go to work. So you go to work and, man, I got 49 miles left. And it's like, okay, 10 miles there, 10 miles back. I'll be all right. We'll be fine. And this doesn't apply to people who jump on that shit immediately. So if this is you, then don't listen, because this is not, I'm not talking about you. But then you go to work, come home, and you're like, okay, I got 29 miles left. I should get gas on the way home, we'll get it, And maybe you just don't. You're like, nah, I don't have to, So in a way you're procrastinating, whatever. And then, maybe you have a next day off. You don't go anywhere. You just bum it, which is fine. And the next day rolls around, you get in your car and you're like, fuck, dude, I have 29 miles to go. I got to drive to this place. It's 15 miles away. I'm going to have to get gas now for sure. What I'm trying to illustrate here is the fact that if you would have just gotten gas the first time, the first night, even when you didn't really need to, you wouldn't have to be thinking about the gas. You wouldn't have to be looking at the light. You wouldn't have to be trying to figure out where the next gas station is or how many miles you can drive to get away. You wouldn't be thinking about anything. So all those thoughts, all the bandwidth in your brain could be freed up had you just gotten gas in the first place. So all I'm trying to say with this is the ice bath was that for me. And it's always been that way. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, hey, when am I going to take this ice bath, man? I don't know. So I go to work halfway through the day. I'm like, oh, I got to take it right after work then, because I got to go to the gym. I can't take it after because, and then I finishing my day, I'm driving home. I'm like, fuck, I got to take an ice bath. I got to do it before the gym. And I get home and it's like, dude, I have to take one right now. Otherwise I won't. So I have to stop what I'm doing to take it now because I need to go to the gym now. If I go later, it fucks with the rest of my schedule. So I have to go now, And it's just that for me, that was just like making life kind of shitty. I won't lie. And I'm going to argue for it real quick. It only takes 5 minutes. It's really quick and easy. It's simple. You just got to change, dry off, get in, get out. That's it. I mean, you're done. It's 5 minutes. It's inconvenient, but, it is what it is. And so I was going back and forth with myself about that. I mean, you can go listen to the other show. I talk about it more in depth. I don't know which one it is. 285, 4321. I don't know. But anyway, that's no longer. So I still have the ice bath. I plan on I don't plan on quitting them, period. But I plan on stopping for the time being until I can get a different schedule, which is probably a year or two away or less. Who knows, man? But like a year or two away. So I'll probably work 3 jobs for another year, at least bare minimum. That's my best guess. But who knows, man? You never know. So I'm gunning for that. So I'm going to have a goals episode where I set some goals. I think I've done that in the past, but never really kept up with it. But so I might have to set some goals live on the show. But until I get a different schedule, ice bath's probably going to be removed. And that's because the other goals that I have take a hit for this due to the timing. So like if I'm trying to sleep as best I can't do it at night. But the time that I can go to the gym is right after work. So I'm not supposed to do it after or before the gym, or after the gym, excuse me. So if I do it after the gym, I have to be at least 4 hours. That is when I would go to sleep. And I'm not going to try to do it right after the gym because it takes so much more time when I just go. It takes less time for me to go to the gym directly after work and then go home, as opposed to going home, taking an ice bath, then going to the gym, and then coming back home from the gym. That adds some more time. And time is what I need the most of right now, period. There's no competition. There's no discussion for that. I need time. And the way that I get time back is to make money with the time that I do have. And how I do that is work my ass off with the time that I have to make something happen. And when that stuff happens, I start getting paid. And then when that happens, the way that I get more time back then is to quit FedEx and washing trucks, because that would free up about 64 hours a month. And if I'm currently making, for easy example, $5,000 with the 64 hours, I have per month of free time, then that would double my income theoretically. So from there, that would allow me to bring in $10,000 a month, right? If that's the number. And then $10,000 a month would allow me to quit every job that I have. And if that's the case, if I make $5,000 with 64 hours, I then get that back on a per week basis. So in theory, I'd go up to like $30,000 a month, right? If you look at the numbers that I'm just super basic math, very, very approximate, quick math. So fact check me on it. I'll be wrong. I promise you, I will be wrong. So anyway, when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, I just gotta keep going. And it will only get easier because it's always the hardest at first. Because right now I have no knowledge, no skill. I have no experience, nothing to compare to, nothing to base off decisions, nothing to go from. I'm just going. And this is where I learn and grow and develop and try to be better. So anyway, it's a whole other show. But Ice Bath isn't fitting in right now. And my priority is not that. My priority now is to get my shit off the ground and build the skills of sales and communication and such. So that's the goal now. So Ice Bath doesn't fit in. 250-day streak has come to an end purposefully. I didn't fail. Matter of fact, I was about 230 something. And that's when I was like, yeah, fuck this, man. So I was like, okay, well, hold on. We're going to quit when we're on top. So 250, we'll get 250. That's it. And after that, then I can decide if I want to keep going. And on day 251, it felt kind of weird, because I'm sitting up here in my office. I think I was on last Wednesday. And I was like, man, I'm going to take an ice bath today, but I don't have to. First day in 250 days that I'm not doing that. And part of me, it was great. It was a great feeling to let go of it all. It was like no stress to get this thing done. No stress to keep up the streak that doesn't matter. And it's cool, man, because I actually purposefully lost the streak for my gallon of water too. And I genuinely mean that, purposefully. I didn't. There was actually one night that I got really sick because I was eating so much shit, dude. And I had half a gallon to go right before bed. And I was, shitting my brains out to keep it mild here. So I was like, okay, well, that's the end of the water. And there was no emotional connection. There was no like, oh, I'm a fuck up. I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I lost my streak. I'm weak. There was none of that. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Because I've talked about this before, but if there's a guy that drinks a gallon of water 1,000 days out of 1,000, but another guy has done it 950 times out of 1,000, the difference there is minuscule. There's not much there. There's just a guy that maybe he missed it by 10 ounces every day. So he missed it by 500 ounces total. And that's nothing in the grand scheme of 1,000 gallons, which is, you add 3 zeros, so that's 128,000 gallons, 128,000 ounces of water missed by 500 ounces, Talking about 128,000. So let's divide that real quick. So we got 0.003%. I mean, if you're trying to be number one, man, you can't miss a day, I guess. But if we're being realistic, man, it's not a big difference. We're talking 0.003%. 0.003%. Not even 1%. Not even half of 1%. So it was kind of an ego check, right? I wanted to get rid of the streaks on purpose, and I did. I mean, the podcast will be the only streak that I keep for ever, because that's the whole show, right? I got to record a show every single day for the next 20 years, so almost 19 years. So that's pretty cool to think about. We got a 20-year goal. I've almost done 1/20th of the way, almost 1/20th of the way done. So that's pretty cool to think about, but. Yeah, so all the streaks are gone, and I'm going to, so I go to work tomorrow, obviously, and since I haven't had any work to do, literally, so no joke, man, I haven't had a single bit of work to do in the last 5 weeks. So I don't know if tomorrow will be any different. Can't imagine it will be. So my goal tomorrow is to kind of formulate a game plan for the next little bit, or the next chapter, if you want to call it that. I mean, I've alluded to the fact I got to make chapter 2 here, and I'm working on that. Just got back from vacation, so what if you want to call it that? But since I don't have the gallon of water that I'm tracking, I'm still going to be drinking a gallon of water, but I'm not going to be tracking that and keeping streaks or whatever. I'm going to try to find some kind of app that has the things that I need kind of laid out for free. And not necessarily track the streak, but do the power list for sure. and maybe track the streak of my power list that I can do. Maybe that would be better. And again, it's not necessarily about the streak. It's about the consistency. You know, I mean, if I go 19 days every 20 perfectly, but I can't get past day 20, I would still say that's extremely fucking consistent, man. You're only missing whatever it is, one day every 20 days. That's pretty damn consistent, man. I mean, shit, people go to the gym and they only go 5 days a week. That's what I do. I'm not saying it's bad. It's great. It's a great split. But, you know, you go 5 days and you miss 2. You know, that's still very consistent. Even if you go 4, you're still very consistent. You don't have to be every day, every single second to be consistent. It just kind of depends on what the thing is. So anyway, tomorrow, since I probably won't have much going on, watch, I jinxed it, man. I'm going to have tomorrow I'm going to get a canopy in, guaranteed. But the goal is to kind of get organized and get planned out, get things going, and have all that done tomorrow so that when I record a show tomorrow, I'm going to have kind of some kind of game plan with what I want to work on, how I'm going to work on it, how it's measured, what I'm going to be working on. I just said that 3 times. Great. But, you know, we don't got the gallon of water, tracking nutrition intake, and the protein, the ice bath. I'm still going to be doing those things, except the ice bath, but I'm not going to track it and make sure that I get it. I mean, if I get 210 grams of protein one day versus to 225, which is a goal, I mean, fuck, bro. I mean, it is what it is. If I get 127 ounces of water instead of 128, I mean, it is what it is. It's just an ounce of water. And you could take everything I'm saying as like, oh, I'm lowering my standards because, you know, that's where the slip happens. And I agree. You could argue that, and I think that's a fair argument. However, I think I'm placing my energy in other areas, which I would label them as a little bit more important for what I'm trying to achieve, you know, because think about what Elon Musk is doing. And yeah, I'm comparing myself to him, right? Think about what he's doing. Do you think he really loses sleep over a gram of protein or 5 ounces of water if he didn't get it tonight, dude? No, he's sending people to they're sending machines to different planets. He's digging holes in the ground. He's creating new vehicles. You know, we got the Cybertruck, we got the Tesla. Motherfucker has an internet company. We've got, he's sending shit to, he's got SpaceX, right? He's got a phone he's working on. He's got, what else has he got, dude? Probably a lot more shit that I don't know about. You think he gives a fuck about a gram of protein ruining his streak? Nah, dude. He's got other problems. He's not better or worse, just other problems, other issues at hand that he deems as more important, more valuable, more a higher priority. And that's kind of where I'm at, right? So me making money and getting my sales and communication skills more developed and better, that's kind of my goal. And eating that extra gram of protein to keep the streak alive, that's not going to affect that at all. You know, drinking 120 ounces of water versus 128 and not getting a gallon, you know, again, these are just made up forms of measurement that we can use in life to simplify things. So this imaginary measurement, which I'm not saying that 8 ounces is invisible, but I am saying it's 8 ounces. And the fact that we place so much value on a gallon is because it just so happens to be 128 ounces. That's just it's like the whole thing with benching and deadlifting and squatting. When you're doing 45-pound plates, it just so happens that they're 45. That's why 135, 225, 315, 405, 495, 585, 675, 755, 845, 935, etc. That's why those numbers are significant, not just 100, 200, 300. It's just not how the fake imaginary measurements that we have man-made, that's not what they add up to, you know? Like a foot is 12 inches, not 10. Also, numbers are man-made, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that repeats itself an infinite amount of times. And each time it reaches a 10 again, you add another number to the first one. And that's literally how numbers work. So it's all man-made. It's all just shit that we create out of nothing, just to simplify the measurement process and to track things in life. However, I'm not getting worked up about 8 more ounces of water one day if I didn't get my gallon. If that's not on the 75 hard program. Let me clarify that now. So, point of what I'm trying to say here is a lot of these things that I have been focusing on and stressing over for what I'm trying to achieve do not matter. The principles behind and the discipline required do matter. However, I feel like I've done a really great job at maintaining and developing the discipline and resilience and grit, fortitude, you know, required to move on to this next chapter in my life. So all I had to say, tomorrow I'm going to work on getting organized for what I'm going to work on moving forward and how I'm going to be as productive as I possibly can, because now I've got all the time in the world. I work my 3 jobs, but all the remaining time is going to be spent working, obviously. So now that I've got all that time, I just got to allocate it and get things done accordingly. So tomorrow, that's what I want to work on. I'm very excited about that. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what else I wanted to talk about. I'm very excited to be home. I'm very, very, very tired. I'm just excited to keep going, man. So, also, Shawnee and Kevin, my aunt and uncle, will be starting 75 Hard today. If you're listening to this, it would be today because it's August 5th. The day you're listening to this, if it's the day of the brand new. They just started day 1. So I don't know how to see. If you know me, go to their page, comment on their shit, let them know you're following them, and don't let them quit, because they're going to do it 100%. And it's going to change their life. And they'll be what am I trying to say? They'll be what am I trying to say, dude? Whatever. There'll be the other sessions that I've done, I guess is what I was trying to get at. So, fuck yeah, Shawnee, Kevin, let's do it. I got your back. Let's do this. Day 1. Okay. Anyway, I think that's all for today's show. I'm going to go to bed because I don't got anything else to do tonight except get some shut-eye. So, that's a quick recap of the last weekend and what's to come in the future. I do have a few episodes coming down the pipeline that I need to get working on, such as the 75 Hard comparison of the last day or whatever, or how I am now versus that last day. And the further away it gets, the less impact it has, I guess, kind of, because I'd done the program a week ago now, as of today, and not in that same headspace of I finally did it kind of thing. It's still surreal. Haven't really thought about it much. I'm done, cool. But I'm a whole new person. But then we have the other episode where I want to recap the last year and all the accomplishments that I have achieved. And then we've got the chapter 2 episode where I got the new intro, outro, and kind of the focus for the next chapter, however long that may be. This first one happened to be a full year because that was how long the LiveHard program was. However, we're still going, so now we're at 53 weeks. So, living and learning, and no plan for episode 300. It's just another number. Again, fake imaginary measurements that we man-made. So, anyway, that's the show. Got to write about it and upload it so I can go to sleep. But anyway, thanks for listening, guys, as always. So, peace out. Good night.
Hey, thanks for listening, and quick reminder here. So this podcast doesn't prioritize professionalism or quality at all. It's just meant to be a shoot from the hip type podcast with the intent just to get a quick message out. So some episodes might be inaudible in 30 seconds and others might be 45 minutes and super crisp sounding. So all these are being made so that by episode 7,305, which is 20 years, we can come back and see the entire playbook of how I made it to wherever I'm going. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.